All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with another video. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get this final look out of the way for Dakota Ditcheva versus Sumiko Inaba. Just so y'all know, this is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Well, the main card starts at 2 p.m., so this being the co-main event might not start till like 4 or 5 o'clock, all right? Just giving y'all a heads up. 2 p.m. Eastern time is the main card. All right, so yeah, man, Sumiko Inaba is taking on the biggest challenge of her career here in Dakota Ditcheva. All right, first off, I'm going to say this. Look, I really want a good competitive fight here. All right, I want to see both fighters tested. I want to see Dakota tested, whether it be on the feet or on the ground. Same thing goes for Sumiko Inaba. I want to see her tested in here. But when it really comes down to it, man, I got to be honest, man. I just think that Dakota Ditcheva, she's on a mission right now. She's on a mission of destruction. Let's just be real. This girl, she's a killer. I'm putting my stamp on her now. You know, I'm not like some people out there that just want to overrate and not really, you know, lock it in and do the research. They just see a few fights or they see the looks and they're like, oh yeah, this girl, she's the baddest. You know what I mean? Like, I got to base it off of something, all right? And what I've seen her do so far, even to like a former UFC contender like Tyler Santos, and just seeing how she uses her reach and her size, I'm giving her a lot of credit here. You know, I'm definitely putting a stamp that she could be a potential threat, all right? She's not UFC champion and she's not UFC contender yet, but she is a big threat to any girl outside of the UFC. All right, let me put it that way. So yeah, this is a big fight for Dakota, man. I mean, this is a big fight for Sumiko Inaba. This is a big fight for Sumiko Inaba, and let's start with her first, man. As far as what she needs to do in this one, I mean, number one, look, I like Sumiko Inaba. I actually been watching her a little bit more than Dakota, is just as far as just like entertainment. You know, I like her style. I think she's a really good MMA striker. She's got good boxing, and she just all around has that fight in her. You know, she is a dog. She's tough. You know, she puts together nice combinations, and she's an exciting fighter. She's got really good offense, but going into a fighter with power and strength and size like Dakota, she's going to have to use something she's rarely used, and that's, you know, that IQ. That's that IQ as far as making adjustments, knowing when to take this fight to the ground, knowing how to counter and slowing the pace down. Because a lot of her fights, she fights at a fast pace, but this is one where she's going to have to take her time and find that open and get dirty in there. You know, so number one, I think it would be wise for Sumiko Inaba to avoid outside fighting. You know, she can't be on the outside trying to pick Dakota apart, because Dakota fights like a big girl. You know, she uses every inch of her reach, you know, whether it be kicks or punches. You know, she knows how to measure fighters, and you don't want to be on the end of those strikes, because those punches or those kicks to the chest, they take a lot out of you, you know. So Sumiko needs to have a game plan to get on the inside, because being on the inside could be destructive as well with those Muay Thai clinches of Dakota, but at least you on the inside, and if you have good dirty boxing and boxing, you can get off something. You know, being on the inside, you're going to connect, you know, because if you're on the outside, you're going to be on the end of the punches. But if you're on the inside, you can at least clinch up on Dakota. You can clinch up on Dakota, and you can land some uppercuts and dirty box with it. That's your best bet, because in close quarters, you're going to land something, right? So I think she needs to have a good inside game plan where, you know, she either pushes Dakota to the cage and she starts landing shots of her own early and makes her presence known, you know, get that respect early. Another thing I think she needs to do is, you know, focus on the body here in this fight. You know, don't try to reach up so much and try to punch up, because I think that's going to take a lot of energy out of Sumiko, you know, especially if you're taking punches and you trying to, you know, chase Dakota down. You know, you need to go ahead and go to the body a little bit, you know, so you can punch down, or you don't have to like give so much energy up. You know, focus on the chest and the body, so when she goes for like a head kick of her own, you know, she could possibly land one on Dakota, right? Another thing I would say, you know, is to try to get this fight to the ground. You know, get it to the ground and, you know, try to keep it there, whether you're just trying to hold on or if you are using your jiu-jitsu. You know, I haven't really seen like Sumiko's jiu-jitsu like that in some fights, but this is probably a fight where she's going to have to make sure that she uses that more than trying to strike from the outside. All right. So those are the three things I think she really needs to do, is just like stay in close quarters and, you know, fight on the inside and, you know, try to use her ground game and go to the body a lot in this fight. You know, try to take some of that energy out and, you know, take Dakota's guard down, you know, so while she's trying to protect her body, you can hit that head. For Dakota, man, take your pick your poison. Pick your poison, man. I mean, for real, like Dakota, to be honest, man, she kind of reminds me, like I said before, like a Vladimir Klitschko for, you know, like the flyweight division. You know, I think, you know, the way she fights so big and technical all she does is have to throw out these heavy concussive jabs or long kicks. And, it just like frustrates a fighter. It like intimidates them because their brain is rattled, right? It's not enough to knock them out right away, but it jars them so much that they have to think twice and they have to rethink their game plan. So I think, number one, for Dakota, she needs to keep that big, long front kick right in the chest of Sumiko Inaba and just use her timing. Use her timing every time Sumiko wants to step in, just throw up that jab. And in the first round, I mean, she could throw up a jab and then throw a right hand right down the pipe because Sumiko Inaba's defense isn't that good. It's not that good. So I think that Dakota, she could fight this fight on the outside for however long she needs to. And after she lands those few shots and she's got Sumiko Inaba rocked, she could go in there and ragdoll her a little bit and put her weight on her and use that tie clinch to, just take her out. So I just think that with the technique and the power that she possesses and the strength, she could just mix it up any way she wants. As long as she's fighting like a big girl in there, she's going to keep winning like a big girl. So with that being said, as far as prediction, I got to go with Dakota by first round stoppage. If Dakota makes it out of the first, if Sumiko makes it out of the first round and she goes into the second, number one, I'm gonna give her props for that. But if it goes to the second, I think she's going to get stopped in the second. All right. I think really for Sumiko to survive in this fight, it's going to have to be like that Paula fight, which was a long time back when Dakota was still kind of green, and that means you just having to hold a lot and clinch a lot and avoid absorbing a lot of punches, and you have to slow Dakota's work rate down. But that fight was a while ago. That was like 10 fights back. And you could see Dakota wasn't throwing as much, but since Dakota lets her shots go now, I don't know what to say for Sumiko outside of the things I gave her as far as a key to victory. You really need a solid ground game and like really good cardio, and just that type of herky jerky style where you make Dakota miss a lot and you take her down. But I don't really see Sumiko having that. I think Sumiko would fight more off a dog in this fight, and that's what's going to get her stopped. So I got to go with Dakota probably by first round stoppage, whether it be to the body or, just like an accumulation. But yeah, I want a 3-round fight, man. If we get a 3-round fight, hey, I'll be happy because, like I said, I want to see both fighters tested. But if not, we just on to the next one. But who do y'all got, guys? Dakota by first round finish for me. Combo Breaker 99. Hit the like button and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.